This is HOA rulebook. The HOA made it personal, and I made it documented. My name is Derek. I am a logistics coordinator in Fargo, North Dakota, and I am standing in my side yard watching a middle-aged woman with a stopwatch and a 12-inch ruler march across my property line like she owns it. She does not own it. I own it. But she is the treasurer of the Brookhaven Greens Village Association, and in her mind, that is the same thing. Her name is Laura Taylor, and she is pointing that ruler at the string line I just tied between two stakes. You are 3 inches over the setback, she says, and I am documenting this for the board. I glance at my contractor, a guy named Mike who has been building fences in Fargo for 20 years. Mike shrugs. He knows what is coming. I know what is coming. Laura does not know what is coming, and that is the best part. I moved to Fargo 6 months ago for work. The job is good, the pay is solid, and the cost of living is reasonable. I thought a planned community would mean low drama and clean streets. What I got was Brookhaven Greens Village Association, an HOA that treats the rulebook like a weapon and the board like a cartel. Laura is the enforcer. She walks the neighborhood every morning with a clipboard, a tape measure, and a phone on a gimbal that she uses to film violations from inches away. She has fined people for mailbox paint, for hedge height, for trash cans left out 6 minutes past the deadline. She loves it. She lives for it. The fence project started 3 weeks ago. My backyard fence was rotting and sagging, so I hired Mike to replace it. I pulled the city permit, I checked the HOA guidelines, I submitted my architectural request with drawings and measurements, and I waited the required 14 days. No response. I called the management company. They said the board approved it. I have the email. So Mike and I started digging post holes. That was yesterday. Today, Laura showed up at 7 in the morning with a violation notice on a clipboard and a threat to fine me $200 a day until I stop work. She says I never got approval. She says the setback is wrong. She says the fence style is not compliant. She is making it up as she goes, and she does not care that I can prove it. I have all day, and so does my fine meter, she says, tapping the clipboard. That is her catchphrase. She has said it to at least 4 neighbors this month. One of them told me she fined him 3 times for the same basketball hoop, then threatened a lien when he disputed it. That is how Brookhaven Greens works. The rules are not about compliance. They are about control. And Laura Taylor is the queen of control. Mike is unloading another fence panel from his truck. He is ignoring Laura, which is the right move. But Laura does not like being ignored. She steps closer, holding the phone on the gimbal right up to the panel. This is not the approved style, she says. You submitted a board-on-board design. This is a shadow box. I laugh. It is the same thing. She does not care. She is already typing on her phone, probably sending an email to the board with a subject line like urgent compliance violation. I pull out my own phone and open the email thread with the management company. I show her the approval. She barely glances at it. That is not an official board resolution, she says. You need a signed letter from the president. I ask her where that rule is written. She says it is in the amended guidelines. I ask her to show me. She says she does not have to, because the board will back her. The board will back me because they are afraid of me, she adds, and she smiles when she says it. That line is going to haunt her, but she does not know it yet. A kid on a bike rolls past, then brakes hard to watch. He is maybe 15, and he is staring at Laura like she just yelled at a dog. She does not notice. She is too busy filming the dirt pile next to the post holes. This is debris, she says. You are required to remove construction debris daily. It is soil. From the holes. We are putting it back when we set the posts. She does not care. She writes another note on her clipboard. My neighbor, a guy named Tim who lives 2 doors down, walks over holding a steaming coffee cup in a gloved hand. It is a hot day, but Tim drinks coffee year-round. He nods at me, then looks at Laura. "You still doing this, Laura?" She does not look up. "Doing my job, Tim." He laughs. "Your job is treasurer. You count money. Why are you out here with a ruler?" She snaps her head up. "I am also on the compliance committee, and I have the authority to issue violations." Tim sips his coffee. "You have the authority to make enemies. That is what you have." Laura ignores him and turns back to me. "You have until 5 p.m. to remove the debris and stop work. If you continue, the fines start tonight at midnight." I ask her what the fine is. $200 per day plus a $50 administrative fee per notice. She taps her clipboard again. "I have all day, and so does my fine meter." Mike shakes his head and keeps working. Tim mutters something under his breath and walks back to his house. I let her walk away. I do not argue. I do not escalate. I just watch her march back across the property line, phone still on the gimbal, filming everything. She is building a case. So am I. The difference is, my case is legal. Here is what Laura does not know. I spent 2 weeks before the project started talking to a real estate attorney in Fargo. I paid him $300 for a consultation, and he gave me a checklist. Get the city permit first. Document every HOA submission. Save every email. If they threaten fines, ask for the specific rule in writing. If they reference an amended guideline, request a copy with the board vote record. If they try to stop work, file a complaint with the state HOA ombudsman and copy the management company. He also told me that if the HOA misrepresents a city or county ordinance in writing, that is grounds for a formal records complaint, and the state takes those seriously. So when Laura said I violated the setback, I already knew she was wrong. The city setback for a fence in Fargo is 3 feet from the property line. My string line is 38 inches from the line, which I measured with a professional survey I paid for 2 weeks ago. The survey also shows that the HOA guidelines say 3 feet, same as the city. Laura is either lying or she does not know the rules. Either way, she is on record now. Tim comes back an hour later with his doorbell camera footage on his phone. Last night, he says, Laura was standing at the edge of my property at 11 p.m. with a flashlight, measuring my stakes. He shows me the video. It is grainy, but you can see her red visor and the retractable badge reel swinging as she kneels next to the string line. She stayed for 6 minutes. Tim sent me the file. I save it in a folder on my phone labeled HOA evidence. Mike finishes the first post hole and moves to the second. I am helping him mix concrete when my phone buzzes. It is an email from the Brookhaven Greens Village Association Management Company. The subject line is Notice of Immediate Stop Work Order. I open it. Laura has escalated. The email says the board reviewed my project and determined that I did not follow the submission process, and all work must stop immediately pending a compliance hearing. The hearing is scheduled for next Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the clubhouse. If I continue work, the fines increase to $500 per day. I forward the email to my attorney. He replies in 10 minutes. They cannot issue a stop work order without citing a specific rule violation in writing. Ask them for the rule. If they do not provide it, keep working and document everything. If they try to fine you, dispute it immediately in writing and request a payment plan, which forces them to pause collections. Also, file a records request for the board meeting minutes where they supposedly reviewed your project. I send the records request that night. I ask for the minutes from the last 3 board meetings, the compliance committee charter, and any emails or documents related to my fence project. The management company has 10 business days to respond. The next morning, Laura is back. This time she has a tow truck with her. The truck is idling at the curb, and Laura is talking to the driver, pointing at Mike's contractor truck parked in my driveway. The driver looks confused. Mike and I walk over. Laura sees us and smiles. Your contractor is parked in a fire lane, she says. I am having him towed. I look at my driveway. It is my driveway. There is no fire lane. The driver is a guy in his 40s with a Fargo towing polo and a clipboard. He looks at me. Is this your property? I nod. He looks at Laura. Ma'am, this is not a fire lane. Laura pulls out her phone and shows him a photo of a curb painted red 3 houses down. That is a fire zone, she says, and the HOA has the authority to enforce it. The driver shakes his head. That is not here. I am not towing a vehicle from a private driveway without a police order. Laura's face goes red. I will call the police then. The driver shrugs. Go ahead. She does not call the police. She just stands there, glaring at the driver until he gets back in the truck and leaves. Mike laughs. She is insane, he says. I agree, but I do not say it out loud. I am recording everything on my phone now. I have a notes app open with timestamps and descriptions. 7:40 a.m. Laura attempts to tow contractor truck. Driver refuses. I add it to the file. That afternoon, Mike gets an email. It is from an address that says Brookhaven Greens HOA Board, and the subject line is immediate contractor removal required. The email says that due to violations of HOA construction policies, Mike is no longer authorized to work on my property, and if he returns, the HOA will pursue legal action against him personally. Mike forwards it to me. The email signature says it is from the board president, a guy named Harold Chen. I call Harold. He has no idea what I am talking about. He did not send any email. He did not authorize any email. He sounds annoyed. Laura is out of control, he says, and he hangs up. I forward the fake email to my attorney. He replies immediately. This is fraud. If Laura impersonated the board to interfere with your contractor, that is tortious interference and possibly identity fraud. Forward this to the management company and demand an investigation. If they do not respond, file a police report. I forward it to the management company with a polite note asking them to investigate. I get an auto reply. The office is closed for the weekend. Mike and I keep working. We set 4 posts in concrete and let them cure overnight. The next morning, I wake up to another email. This time it is from Laura directly, not the management company. The subject line is final warning before lien. The body of the email says that I owe $900 in fines for 3 days of continued work after the stop work order, plus administrative fees, and if I do not pay by Monday, the HOA will file a lien on my property. She includes a payment link. I do not click the link. I screenshot the email and send it to my attorney. He calls me. Do not pay anything, he says. This is not a valid fine. They did not give you a hearing. They did not cite a rule. They did not follow their own process. Dispute it in writing today and CC the management company. Also, I think you should file a complaint with the state HOA office. North Dakota has an ombudsman for this exact situation. I spend Sunday afternoon filling out the state complaint form. I attach the fake email from the board, the stop work order with no rule citation, Laura's lien threat, the video of her measuring my stakes at night, and the survey showing I am compliant with the setback. I submit it online. The confirmation email says they will respond within 15 business days. Monday morning, my gate access stops working. I live in a gated section of Brookhaven Greens, and my key fob opens the vehicle gate and the pedestrian gate. I try it at 6:45 a.m. on my way to work. Nothing. I try it again. Nothing. I call the management company. They say my access was suspended due to outstanding fines. I ask them what fines. They say Laura reported $900 in compliance fines. I tell them I disputed those fines in writing yesterday. They say they did not receive my dispute. I forward them the email. They put me on hold for 4 minutes, then come back and say they will reactivate my access within 24 hours. I am late to work. My boss is understanding, but I am a logistics coordinator. I run on deadlines. My car is essential for my commute, and if the HOA keeps locking me out or threatens to tow it, I am in serious trouble. That is the stakes here. This is not just about a fence. This is about my ability to do my job and live my life. By the time I get home, Mike has finished setting the rails. He is moving fast because he has another job starting Wednesday. I help him carry the fence panels from his truck. They are heavy, about 60 pounds each, and we are sweating in the heat. It is June in Fargo, which means it is 85 degrees and sunny, and there is no shade in the side yard. Laura appears again, this time with a different clipboard. She does not say hello. She just walks up to the fence and starts inspecting the rails. These are not level, she says. Mike looks at her. Yes, they are. She pulls out a phone app that has a digital level and holds it against the top rail. It shows 0.2 degrees off. She takes a photo. Not level, she says. I am documenting this. Mike ignores her and keeps working. Laura moves to the next post and does the same thing. She is going to check every rail, every post, every panel. She has nothing else to do. This is her life. Tim shows up again, this time without coffee. He is holding his phone. Derek, you need to see this, he says. He shows me a post in the Brookhaven Greens Facebook group. It is from Laura. The post says that a homeowner in the community is building an illegal fence in violation of HOA rules and city ordinances, and she is asking other residents to report any similar violations. She does not name me, but she includes a photo of my house number on the curb. The post has 37 comments, most of them supportive of Laura. A few people are asking questions. One guy says he thought the HOA approved my fence. Laura replies that the approval was rescinded due to non-compliance. Tim is filming all of this on his phone. He has been recording Laura every time she shows up. He says he is posting it in real time to a neighborhood watch group chat that he runs with 5 other neighbors who are sick of the HOA. The group chat is blowing up, he says. People are sharing stories. One woman said Laura fined her for a garden gnome. Another guy said she threatened to call the fire marshal because he had a propane grill on his deck. Tim thinks we can vote Laura out at the next election, but the next election is not until November. That is 5 months away. I need my evidence ready before the story gets twisted, and I am running out of time. My contractor is filming and posting in real time, my neighbor is filming and posting in real time, and Laura is also filming and posting in real time. Everyone has a narrative. I need mine to be the one that wins. Tuesday morning, I get the records I requested from the management company. They send me a PDF with the last 3 board meeting minutes. I read through them. There is no mention of my fence project. There is no discussion, no vote, no review. Laura lied. The board never reviewed my project. She issued the stop work order on her own authority, which she does not have. I forward the minutes to my attorney. He replies with a single sentence. You have them. That night is the compliance hearing. It is scheduled for 7 p.m. at the clubhouse. I show up at 6:50 with a folder full of documents. The survey, the city permit, the HOA approval email, the board meeting minutes, the fake email Mike received, the lien threat, the gate suspension notice, and Tim's doorbell video. I also have a printed copy of the state complaint I filed. The clubhouse is a small building at the front of the community with a meeting room, a kitchenette, and a patio. The board meets here once a month, and they hold compliance hearings here when someone disputes a fine. Tonight, there are 6 people in the room. Harold Chen, the board president. Laura Taylor, the treasurer. 2 other board members I do not recognize. The management company representative, a woman named Diane who looks tired. And me. Harold opens the meeting. He says this is a hearing to review my fence project and determine if I violated HOA guidelines. He asks Laura to present her case. Laura stands up. She has a binder. She opens it and starts reading. She says I installed a fence without approval. I violated the setback. I refused to stop work after receiving a notice. I created a debris hazard, and I allowed my contractor to park illegally. She shows photos from her phone on the gimbal. She shows the measurements she took with her ruler. She shows the Facebook post. She talks for 11 minutes. When she is done, Harold asks me if I want to respond. I stand up. I do not have a binder, I have a folder. I pull out the HOA approval email and hand it to Harold. He reads it. He looks at Diane. Did we approve this? Diane nods. Yes, the committee approved it on May 3rd. Harold looks at Laura. You said he did not have approval. Laura does not blink. That email is not a board resolution. Harold looks confused. We do not do board resolutions for fence approvals. We delegate that to the architectural committee. Laura shifts in her seat. The guidelines were amended. Harold asks her when. She does not answer. If you are enjoying this HOA chaos, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild stories. I pull out the board meeting minutes. I hand them to Harold. I requested the minutes from the last 3 meetings, I say. There is no record of any discussion or vote related to my fence project. Laura says the board reviewed it and issued a stop work order. That is not true. Harold reads the minutes. He looks at Laura. Laura, did you issue the stop work order? She nods. Yes, because he was not compliant. Harold asks her what rule he violated. She pulls out her phone and starts scrolling. Harold waits. The room is silent. Laura does not find a rule. She just says, the setback is wrong. I pull out the survey. I hand it to Harold. This is a professional survey I paid for 2 weeks ago. It shows my fence is 38 inches from the property line. The city and HOA setback is 3 feet, which is 36 inches. I am compliant. Harold studies the survey. He looks at Laura. Laura, did you measure this? She holds up her ruler. I measured it at the site. It was 3 inches over. I shake my head. 3 inches over 3 feet is 39 inches. I am at 38 inches. I am under the setback. Laura stands up. You are twisting the numbers. I have it on video. I pull out my phone. I have video too, I say. I play the clip of Laura at my property at 11 p.m. measuring the stakes. Harold watches it. Who filmed this? My neighbor, I say. His doorbell camera. Harold looks at Diane. Diane, can board members inspect properties at night? Diane shakes her head. No, that is not appropriate. Harold looks at Laura. Laura, why were you there at 11 p.m.? Laura does not answer. She is staring at me. I can see the calculation happening in her head. She knows I have more. I pull out the fake email Mike received. I hand it to Harold. This email was sent to my contractor from an address claiming to be the HOA board. It says he is banned from working on my property. I called you, Harold. You said you did not send it. Harold reads the email. His face goes pale. Diane leans over and reads it too. She looks at Laura. Laura, did you send this? Laura does not answer. Harold asks again. Laura, did you send this email? She finally speaks. I sent it on behalf of the board. Harold raises his voice. I did not authorize that. You cannot send emails pretending to be the board. That is fraud. The room goes quiet. One of the other board members, a man in his 60s, speaks up. Laura, This is serious. If you impersonated the board, we could be liable. Laura snaps at him. I was protecting the community. This man is building an illegal structure. I stand up again. I am building a legal fence with city and HOA approval, and you have been harassing me, my contractor, and my neighbors for 3 weeks. I pull out the lien threat email. You threatened to file a lien without giving me a hearing. That is illegal under North Dakota HOA law. I pull out the gate suspension notice. You locked me out of the community without due process. That is also illegal. I pull out the state complaint confirmation. I filed a complaint with the state HOA ombudsman yesterday. They are investigating. Harold looks at Diane. Diane looks at her laptop. She types something, then looks up. If the state is investigating, we need to pause all enforcement actions related to this case and consult our attorney. Harold nods. I agree. Laura, you are suspended from compliance duties pending an internal review. Laura stands up. You cannot suspend me. I am elected. Harold does not look at her. You are suspended. This meeting is over. Laura storms out. I stay for a few minutes and talk to Harold and Diane. Harold apologizes. He says he had no idea Laura was acting on her own. Diane says the management company will cooperate with the state investigation. I thank them and leave. Outside, Tim is waiting on the patio. He was listening through the window. He grins. You destroyed her. I shake my head. Not yet. She is going to come back harder. I am right. The next morning, I get an email from Laura's personal address. The subject line is, "You will regret this." The body of the email is 2 sentences. You think you won, but you do not know who you are dealing with. I will make sure you never feel safe in this community again. I screenshot it and forward it to my attorney, the management company, and the police. The police call me back in an hour. An officer comes to my house and takes a report. He says the email is not specific enough to be a criminal threat, but he will document it and follow up if anything else happens. That afternoon, a delivery truck arrives with the rest of my fence panels. The driver pulls up to my driveway and Laura appears out of nowhere. She steps in front of the truck. You cannot deliver here, she says. This is HOA property. The driver looks at me. I walk over. This is my driveway, I say. She does not have authority to block you. Laura pulls out her phone and starts filming. I am documenting this illegal delivery, she says. The driver asks her for her legal authority. She says she is the HOA treasurer. The driver shrugs. I need a court order or a police order to refuse delivery. Do you have one? Laura does not answer. The driver unloads the panels. Mike finishes the fence 2 days later. It is perfect. Level, square, compliant, and legal. I take photos from every angle and send them to the management company with a note saying the project is complete and requesting a final inspection. Diane replies the same day. She says the architectural committee will inspect it within a week. The inspection happens on Friday. 2 committee members show up, both neighbors I have never met. They walk the fence line with a tape measure and a level. They check the setback, the height, the post spacing, the panel alignment. They take notes. One of them asks me if I have the city permit. I show him the permit card taped to my front window. He nods. Looks good. They leave. I get an email on Monday. The fence passes inspection. The project is approved. The compliance case is closed. I forward the email to Laura, Harold, Diane, and my attorney. I do not write anything. I just forward it. Laura does not reply. But 2 days later, I get a notice in the mail. It is from the HOA. It says my garbage cans were left out past the 7 a.m. deadline on Tuesday, and I am being fined $50. I check my doorbell camera. I brought the cans in at 6:53 a.m. I had video proof. I email the proof to Diane and dispute the fine. Diane responds within an hour. Fine waived. Laura is no longer authorized to issue violations. That is when I know Laura is panicking. She is losing control and she is trying to hit me with anything she can. But she does not know I have one more card to play. 3 weeks after the hearing, I get a letter from the state HOA ombudsman. They reviewed my complaint, and they are opening a formal investigation into the Brookhaven Greens Village Association. The letter says they found evidence of procedural violations, unauthorized enforcement actions, and misrepresentation of HOA authority. They are requiring the board to submit all compliance records, board meeting minutes, and correspondence related to my case. They are also requiring the board to attend a compliance training workshop. The letter includes a copy of my complaint and all the attachments I submitted. It is sent to the board, the management company, and the HOA attorney. I do not hear anything for a week. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, I get a call from Harold. He sounds stressed. Derek, I need to talk to you. Can you come to the clubhouse tonight? I ask him what it is about. He says the board is meeting to discuss the state investigation, and they want to hear from me. I agree. I show up at 6:30. The board is already there. Harold, Laura, and 3 other members. Diane is on a video call from the management company office. And there is a new person I have not seen before. A man in a suit with a briefcase. Harold introduces him. This is our attorney, Richard Moss. He is here to advise us on the state investigation. Richard does not look happy. He opens his briefcase and pulls out a folder. Mr. Anderson, he says, I have reviewed the state complaint and the evidence you submitted. I also reviewed the board's records and the actions taken by Miss Taylor. He looks at Laura. Miss Taylor, did you issue a stop work order on May 21st? Laura nods. Yes. Richard asks her if the board authorized it. She hesitates. I acted under my compliance authority. Richard shakes his head. You do not have compliance authority. The board delegated compliance to a committee, and you are not the chair of that committee. Laura does not respond. Richard continues. Did you send an email to Mr. Anderson's contractor claiming to represent the board? Laura shifts in her seat. I sent an email to protect the community. Richard raises his voice. That is fraud. You impersonated the board. You exposed this HOA to liability. Harold interrupts. Richard, what is our exposure here? Richard looks at him. If the state finds that the HOA violated procedural rules or acted in bad faith, they can impose fines, require policy changes, and mandate restitution to the homeowner. If Mr. Anderson sues, he could win damages for harassment, interference, and emotional distress. And if the fake email is considered fraud, Miss Taylor could face personal liability. Laura stands up. I was doing my job. Richard looks at her. No, you were abusing your position. And now you have put this board in a position where we have to choose between defending your actions or protecting the association. Harold looks at me. Derek, what do you want? I pull out a folder. I have been holding on to something, I say. I let Laura threaten a lien, because that threat would look terrible on the record. But I also have this. I pull out a document and hand it to Richard. It is a letter from the HOA insurance company. I requested a copy of the association's liability policy 3 weeks ago under North Dakota Open Records law. The management company provided it. The policy has a clause that excludes coverage for harassment claims arising from board member misconduct. If I sue for harassment, the HOA insurance will not cover it. The board will be personally liable. Richard reads the letter. His face goes white. He looks at Harold. You need to settle this. Now. Harold looks at Diane on the video screen. Diane, what do you recommend? Diane looks at her notes. I recommend we issue a formal apology, reverse all fines, reimburse Mr. Sraman Anderson for his legal and permitting costs, and remove Miss Taylor from all compliance duties permanently. I also recommend we update our policies to prevent this from happening again. Laura stands up. You are throwing me under the bus. Harold does not look at her. Laura, you brought this on yourself. Richard closes his folder. I am advising the board to accept Miss Anderson's terms and settle this before it goes to court. If the state finds against us, we could be looking at tens of thousands in fines and legal fees. Harold nods. I agree. The board votes. 4-1. Laura votes no. Everyone else votes yes. Richard looks at me. Mr. Anderson, we will draft a settlement agreement and send it to you by the end of the week. I nod. I also want one more thing. I want the compliance process audited and cleaned up. No more selective enforcement. No more harassment. No more threats. If the HOA is going to have rules, they need to be applied fairly. Richard agrees. We will include that in the settlement. Laura storms out of the room. Harold watches her go, then looks at me. I am sorry, Derek. This should never have happened. I stand up. Just make sure it does not happen to anyone else. The settlement agreement arrives 5 days later. The HOA agrees to reverse all fines, reimburse me $1,200 for legal and permitting costs, issue a formal apology letter, remove Laura from the compliance committee, and hire an independent consultant to audit the compliance process. I sign it. Harold signs it. Diane signs it on behalf of the management company. 2 weeks later, the state ombudsman issues their findings. They found that the Brookhaven Greens Village Association violated North Dakota HOA procedures in multiple areas, including unauthorized enforcement actions, failure to follow hearing procedures, and misrepresentation of authority. They imposed a $2,000 fine on the HOA and required the board to complete compliance training. They also noted in the report that Laura Taylor's actions were documented in the minutes and would be part of the public record. The fallout is immediate. 3 board members resign. Harold stays on as president, but he is facing a recall effort led by Tim and the Neighborhood Watch Group. Laura resigns from the board entirely. She sends an email to the community saying she is stepping down for personal reasons. Nobody believes her. Tim posts the state report in the Facebook group. The post gets 200 comments. Half the community is celebrating. The other half is shocked. At the next board meeting, the room is packed. 40 homeowners show up. Harold opens the meeting and apologizes. He says the board failed to oversee Laura, and he takes responsibility. He announces the new compliance policy. All violations must be reviewed by the full committee. All fines must be approved by the board. All stop work orders must cite a specific rule and be issued in writing with a hearing date. No board member can act alone. The room applauds. One homeowner stands up and asks what happens to people who were fined by Laura in the past. Harold says the board is reviewing all fines issued in the last year. If any were improper, they will be reversed and refunded. The applause gets louder. After the meeting, Tim pulls me aside. You did it, he says. You broke the system. I shake my head. I just wanted to build a fence. Tim laughs. You built a fence and took down a tyrant. That is a good day. A month later, I am sitting in my backyard drinking a beer, looking at my fence. It is level. It is compliant. It is perfect. My phone buzzes. It is an email from Diane. She says the compliance audit is complete, and the consultant recommended 23 policy changes. The board approved all of them. She also says the HOA attorney, Richard Moss, withdrew from representing the association. He sent a letter saying he could no longer provide effective counsel due to the board's prior actions, and he recommended they hire new representation. The board is panicking because they have to answer homeowners with no cover. I forward the email to my attorney. He replies with 3 words. You won everything. I sit back and finish my beer. The fence looks good, the neighborhood is quiet, and Laura Taylor is gone. For the first time in 3 months, I feel like I can breathe. The next week, I get a package in the mail. It is from Tim. Inside is a small wooden sign. It says Brookhaven Greens Compliance Champion in hand-painted letters. There is a note. Put this on your fence. You earned it. I laugh. I do not put it on the fence, but I hang it in my garage. It is a good reminder. Sometimes you have to stand up to bullies, even when they have a clipboard and a badge reel. And sometimes, if you have the right evidence and the right attorney and the right timing, you can win. Laura never came back. I heard through Tim that she moved to a different neighborhood in Fargo. I do not know if she is on an HOA board there. I hope not. For their sake. As for me, I still live in Brookhaven Greens. The new board is better. They follow the rules. They listen to homeowners. They do not weaponize compliance. And my fence is still standing, level and compliant, exactly where it is supposed to be. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.